Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vasel and Sam Healey.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel.
Welcome, I'm Sam Healey.
Now, I like 3D shoot-em-up games on the computer where you walk through and you're like da-da-da-da-da, and blowing everything away.
Yep.
But they've moved to some of these games where you're sneaking through.
You have to.
You have to sneak through. I don't like this as much because they scare me. But that's what this is.
Yes.
This is essentially Metal Gear, the board game. Specter apps, designed by Emerson, published by a co-publication from Plaid Hat Games and Nazca Games. It is a game where one person is going to be sneaking through an enemy complex, trying to accomplish some sort of mission, disable stuff, whatever you want the mission to be.
Right.
And the other player or players are trying to stop him.
Yep.
Here's how it plays. In this game, one person is going to be an agent, and they're going to secretly pick which of 4 different agents they're going to be: Blue Jay, Spider, Cobra, Orangutan. Each of these people has a special ability that they can use, and you don't have to reveal who you are just right away. That's because over the course of the game, you're going to be moving on this sheet of paper, which matches the map here. The sheet of paper is lined up the same way, and the map has a grid which goes from A to W and 1 to 32. So there's quite a few squares on the grid, although some of them are taken up by terrain. At the beginning of the game, you're going to roll, and you'll notice that on this map here, it shows possible spots for starting mission objectives. There's going to be 4 of them, so you roll a die for each area, and whatever number, so let's say a number 4 had been rolled for area number 2, you'd put the mission there. So you can see there's mission tokens that are on the board. And what the spy needs to do is the spy needs to get to 3 of those mission tokens and disable it, and then get out one of the exits. Now, the agent is going to start here at N1, and this is also one of the exit spots that they can get out of later on. And then over here is another exit spot, and over there is an exit spot, and then there's various places. So on a player's turn, the agent is not going to actually move on the board. They're simply going to write where they go on their sheet. You see, you start here in N1, and then you'll write the next spot that you move to on the sheet. And when you move, you can move 4 spaces. So you can move diagonally or orthogonally. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, like that for my first move, and that would be totally legitimate. Now, everybody else is going to be playing, who's playing the game, is playing one of the folks trying to catch the agent, the hunters. Now this token here is a car, and you'll notice here next to the table is this vehicle, and this is a game that has 2 of the hunters, and each of the hunters, by the way, also has special abilities. We have the puppet, the beast, the gun, and the prophet. And these people can jump out of the car if they want to, or they can drive the car. The benefit of driving the car is that it can move very quickly. The disadvantage is it can only move on double lanes here. You'll see a dotted line, so the car can move 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's pretty fast. It can move 10 between all the players' turns. So on your turn, you can drive the car. You can jump out. If you jump out of the car, then you have to stop moving. And then once you're out of the car, your movement, unless you are the beast man here, your movement's going to be 4, just like the good guy or the agent. Now, what you're trying to do is catch him, and you're going to do that by seeing him. Now, on the agent's turn, if the agent moves, let's say I have my guy here, the prophet, and the agent goes 1, 2, 3, 4 on his turn. Now, what he'll do is he'll place a marker here to show this is the last spot that I saw him. The hunters can see people when they are in a straight line from them. So this hunter here can see this whole big road, because it counts as one line, all the way down to here, and he can see this space. He can't see anything else. If he had been standing here, he would also be able to see these spaces. He can't see diagonally at all, so we now know that the hunter ran by this way, the agent. If let's say the hunter then on his turn decides to go here, now the agent's here, the agent would have to put his marker on the board and reveal himself. And then we have a chance to shoot at him. When you shoot, you simply roll a die, and if the number equals or exceeds the distance away that the agent is, then you've hit them, and they have to take a wound. Each agent has 4 wounds. If they're completely killed, they're dead, except for the rhino. He has, or I'm sorry, not the rhino, but the orangutan. He has 6 wounds. Anyhow, if you roll 1, it's always a miss. If you land on the person, it's an automatic hit. If you roll a 6, you can roll again and add that. So if you're really far from someone, the agent, you still have a chance to shoot them. So that's if the agent starts their turn next to a mission objective. And this can be diagonally or directly adjacent to it. Then at the beginning of their next turn, they'll flip it over and move away, showing that they were there and flipped it over. One of the agents can flip one over when they're 2 spaces away. Now, as the player is moving around and doing that, the agent also begins the game with 3 special pieces of equipment card. And you can use these cards. Some of them only work for certain agents. Like this, the Velocity Blade can only be used by Cobra, while the smoke grenade can be used by anyone. A smoke grenade is something you could place on a board and all the spots around it now block line of sight. Or you have Adrenal Surge here, which you can use. You don't show that you've used, you say I used this card, but the opponent doesn't know what it is, and it lets you move 6 spaces. Or this one, you're only visible if you're within 2 spaces of somebody else. If you're orangutan, you can stun the hunters who are chasing you, which means that turn they can only move 2 spaces, and they can't attack. And some of the cards can be used more than once. Most of them can only be used once, the equipment cards. If you are also seen, you also have to reveal who you are and say, oh, here's my special ability. You know, the spider hunters get -2 to attack when they're within 3 spaces. But the good news is that the good guys also have special abilities. I don't know who the good guys are anyway, but the Prophet, he can, instead of moving, ask where the agent was 2 turns ago. Also, if he's in the game, the agent has to tell somebody before he turns something over. The puppet can control the car and use the car's special ability even when he's not inside it. The beast can move 5 spaces and also can smell and see if the agent is within 4. And the gun just has really good chances to shoot. Rolls 2 dice, has a chance to do quick draw when they see the agent. The car has an ability, if you're in the car or if you're the puppet, you can ask, you can do a heat sensor or some kind of sensor where you'll use this compass here in the middle of the board and you'll take where the car is. So let's say the car is right here in O12. And let's say the agent is, the spider agent is here at S10. We say, okay, we're using the car's motion detector, and the agent would have to say, I'm northeast of the car. He's northeast. If he was here, he'd have to say east, but you'd see him too. Let's say he was here and the agent's here, the agent would have to say east. So that can help people try to figure out where the agent is. So that's pretty much the game. The agent has 40 turns to get 3 objectives and get out, or if he dies, he loses. If he doesn't do it within 40 turns, he loses, although I've never seen that happen. And if he escapes, then he wins. If you play with 4 players, where there's 3 people hunting down the agent, then the agent gets extra equipment cards and also can keep the locations of the objectives secret. If you play with 5 agents, then at the beginning of the game, 5 players, the agent's going to give these cards. He's going to give one person a traitor card, and that person is actually an agent just like he is. And when that person sees him, he doesn't have to reveal it. So let's say the puppet's here and the spider's here. The spider would say, well, no one can see me. And if the traitor is found out, let's say the spider's here and the puppet says, no one can see me. Then the wolf moves here and, hey, you can see me. And the wolf says, wait a minute, he was able to see you. Then this guy also gets a sheet of paper and they're both trying to escape at that point. All right. Well, this game is going to be compared to other deductive games like Scotland Yard, Fury of Dracula, Letters from Whitechapel.
Yeah.
And there's not really that many in the genre.
No, there isn't.
But to me, if I looked at one game that reminds me of more than any other game, it's Clue the Museum Caper,
Really?
which is an older game and it had cameras, remember, and motion sensors. That's what this does.
Yeah.
This takes a deductive game, which is a pretty straight up deductive game. I'm moving around on cubes, on squares on the board, and then you are trying to figure out where I am. But then it adds special powers and special cards in this really kind of weird futuristic theme. I'm going to start with some negatives because I have a few minor ones.
Okay.
One, I think the game should have had a better FAQ. There's a lot of little niggling things every time you're like, well, how does this crisscross with this? Some of that stuff I thought could have been answered.
Maybe just an errata sheet.
An errata for the cards, at least.
For the different cards would have been sufficient, I think. There are some cards that just, they aren't explained well, especially on the agent side of it, where you are the one trying to accomplish your nefarious deeds within the enemy compound. Some of them are really cool, but they're not very specific on how they fire and when they fire. So it would have been cool to have an errata that the person could have, or maybe even just a quick reference sheet that fits inside the box, so that you can use it as a shield almost. I don't know, something that explains the cards a little bit better. Nitpicky, but I think it would have been better.
And my other nitpicky thing is the components. The miniatures are great. Great, cool plastic miniatures. But it's really weird that they didn't include a miniature for the car, the vehicle. Yeah. It's like a token.
Right.
And the board is really cool looking. And they use this reflective ink, so that you can see the letters usually, but you can't always.
If you're at a bad angle with the lighting, glare is going to really make it difficult for you to see. Sometimes, well, nigh impossible for you to see those raised surfaces. But usually, a cock of the head or
it's not that bad. It's not horrible.
It's not that bad.
And then my other thing is the objectives on the board. I wish they had been kind of delineated a little bit.
Yeah.
At least, maybe not numbered. I'm not saying make it ugly, but maybe like put a small white border around them or something to show there's the objectives. Otherwise, the players have to have their own piece of paper. And this is only for the 4 or 5 player game, where you don't know where the objectives are, but it's nice to know what the possible ones are.
Yeah.
So that's all my minor niggly stuff.
They're all very minor things.
I like the game though.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that my liking of the game increases as the player count gets lower. 2 and 3 is my favorite. 4 is good. 5 is decent. The trader aspect, when I read about it, I was like, whoa, that sounds really cool. Wasn't as cool as I thought. And it takes away part of it. I like trader aspects in games, right?
Yeah.
But when we're all working together to stop somebody, the trader thing just kind of deflates that a lot.
I thought it was cool. I really enjoyed the traitor aspect on the 5-player game because it made it almost deviously so. It made it seem like the agent had a better opportunity to accomplish all the deeds. It really, out of the gate, it seems like the agent is going to get caught.
You feel like that when you are the agent, for sure.
You feel like that when you are the agent, and you feel like there's nothing you can really do. You're just going to try to do the best you can, and then you're going to die. But with that trader aspect, where you hand a card to one of the other players, they're on your team, and you two are the only ones that know that, and you can use that to your advantage sometimes, or it can backfire on you. It depends on the specific situation of the game. That's one of the things that I really enjoy the game. I played it first as a hunter, and I enjoyed it. I thought to myself, this is like Fury of Dracula, just not as hard, not as long. This is like Scotland Yard. This is like all of these other games that I already have enjoyed playing, Letters from Whitechapel. But it has a really, for me, it has a neater theme on it. Letters from Whitechapel is a good game, but it's kind of a blah theme to it, and the board is very blah. The board.
Well, actually, it's a thing that you don't want to really think too much about.
I don't want to be Jack the Ripper going and murdering women. I don't want to do that. I don't necessarily even want to be Dracula. Yeah, I do. Never mind.
Okay, well, but Specter Ops though.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I played both sides, and it's really fun. It's really stressful to be that guy, though. Because you look at the board, and you're like, I'm going to go here, and they're right there, and there's almost no place to go. But at the same time, when you're the hunters, you're like, he could be anywhere. And it's really weird that way, because you both think the other guy has the advantage.
Right.
You really do. The equipment cards make a big deal. I really think they are the win or lose part of the game. As the agent, you have to use them at the right time. You're tempted to use them right away.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it's time to throw a smoke grenade. It's time to do this. And maybe sometimes you should, but you're probably better off saving them for those critical moments when they're shooting at you as you run out.
Adrenal Surge, where you can move 6, is really tempting, especially I took 2, and I'm like, I've got 2. Who cares? I'm going to use one right now. And I was like, later on in the game, and I really would like to have that Adrenal Surge back. Because, you've got 3 hunters right around you. But, oh, man. For me, this does not replace... I guess I'll segue into that. This doesn't replace any of the other games for me, except for maybe, definitely doesn't replace Fury of Dracula. Because Fury of Dracula has a epic feel to it that Specter Ops doesn't. I will say that it definitely replaces Scotland Yard for me, and I would say it would replace Letters from Whitechapel as well. Those two are shorter than Fury of Dracula. This is shorter than Fury of Dracula, and I like this theme, and I like this one's mechanics a little bit better.
I really like this one, like I said, as a 2-player or 3-player game, in the sense that it's really fast in that regard. And I think I could get people to play this despite the theme, in a sense. Like Fury of Dracula, you mentioned, that's a game I wouldn't play with everybody. There's a lot of chrome,
it has a darker aspect,
but there's also a lot of chrome, and there's fighting and stuff.
Right.
This is really pure deduction. There's a few.
It's streamlined
with theming on it. And at first I was like, why did they only put 4 agents and 4 guys? And the reason is you don't want that many more choices, because it's going to be that hard to remember everyone's special abilities. Right. I got those special abilities that these guys memorized. I know every single thing they all can do because it's that important to the game.
Yeah, but you forgot.
I know. Because there was one point I was like, there's no way Sam could be somewhere. And I was like, it finally dawned on me that he took the agent that could touch it from 2 spaces away. And really, the 4 agents all seem pretty equal. I think the one agent that seems the strongest is the guy with +2 health. He's probably the weakest, in a sense, because the extra 2 health isn't that great, while being able to touch something from 2 spaces away, being able to stab people when they jump on top of you, that's pretty cool stuff. This one is getting 2 hidden thumbs up from me. Oh, but now I'll reveal them.
Yes, thank you.
I really enjoyed the theme. I enjoyed the game. I played it way back in prototype form when it was just a piece of paper, basically, and I loved it then. I was impressed with it, how it all put together. Like I said, a few niggling things, but that's minor. The whole thing was great, but again, I'm talking 2-player and 3-player, great! 4-player, pretty good. 5-player, good. None of the plays were bad.
Yeah.
But anyhow, that's what I thought.
I have yet to play it with 2 or 3 players. However, I don't think it'll change my opinion of the game. I think it'll only boost my opinion of the game. I really enjoy the 4-player. I enjoyed the 4-player. I really enjoyed the 5-player version of it. I like the trader aspect of the 5-player. I am assuming, and I think rightfully so, that I'm going to enjoy the 3 or 2-player version as well. I'm going to give this 2 remote hacks up. Because this is entirely a game breaker. It replaces, like I said earlier, Scotland Yard. It replaces Letters from Whitechapel. Not quite Fury of Dracula yet, because I like the epic nature of it. But Plaid Hat is quickly becoming one of my go-to companies. They're starting to really hit some...
they're already there for me.
They're hitting some games out of the park, man.
Amazing.
Kudos to Plaid Hat and Nazca for putting out a really, really good game. As always, try before you buy, but you need to put this one on your radar if you haven't done it already.
That's Specter Ops.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.